Warning, this video spoils the entirety of the chapter covered here within. If you wish to experience it without being spoiled, turn back now. Yet another Berserk chapter has been bestowed upon us, my fellow strugglers. And this is chapter 371, a fading light, or what was it? A fading torch in the pitch black night. And the mantra of this chapter is fuck Griffith. So yeah. I'm not even gonna like beat around the bush. I'm gonna straight into it because this chapter is actually good in my opinion. The material is amazing. The art is a little rough, but whatever. At this point, the art is, I hate saying it about Berserk, I don't care about the art. I'm going to stop complaining about it unless it's something really big. There is something really big that I want to get off my chest now, and it's that this cover, or this chapter cover, just ain't it. This chapter cover just ain't it for me. Ignore the Dr. Stone TCG thing in the corner. This chapter cover just ain't it for me. I don't know why. It just isn't. But we're going to get into the chapter now. And yeah, so we cut right where we were at the end of the last chapter with Roderick and Shirkei trying to get Guts to listen. Last chapter ended with Guts coming to the realization that the Dragon Slayer, for the first time, had failed him. And we pick up with Shirkei projecting her astral form out of her body and seeing what's happening with Guts. And he's still sitting there on the ground, staring at the Dragon Slayer, but he starts breaking down. We see him lower his head in, I guess we could consider it sorrow, and he covers his face with his hand. And then we get the page that I'm using for the eye catch, where we get a full page of Guts' fights and all of the shit he has gone through with the Dragon Slayer. And at first, the immediate ones that pop out to me are Rosine on the top, the Mantis guy from right before Rosine's fight, and towards the bottom, obviously, Rape Horse. And then as you look more, we have pictures of every single arc that Guts has had this Dragon Slayer for. I see some Fantasia, I see some Conviction, I see some Hawk of the Millennium Empire. The Daka are lower down on it. So, yeah. It's a nice page. We also have the crocodiles from the raid on the Holy City, and we have some trolls. It's a nice page. But the memory that sticks out the most is Griffith. Just Griffith. And with that, we have one of the best page, I want to say this is one of the best pages we have gotten from Studio Gaga, and it is the Beast of Darkness breaking out of its chains, slamming its teeth down on presumably Guts' psyche, is what I'm going to take this as, or it's slamming its teeth down on Griffith, symbolizing wanting to kill him, obviously. And this explosion is so strong that Guts passes out. Maybe not passes out, but he falls onto his side. He's basically in the fetal position, which is not a position we are used to seeing Guts in. We are used to seeing Guts as this strong tower of a man, and having him reduced to, I hate saying it, a pitiful existence, I want to say. But it's not really pitiful because this man has gone through so much shit that he deserves to be able to do this. He deserves to be able to lay down and just be broken. And then Shirkei is knocked back to her physical form, and Roderick feels the door loosen. Guts isn't propping up against it, so he can actually open it. But he decides not to, and him and the crew just walk away, leaving Guts to his stuff. They have to deal with their own things. It's feeling a lot like a lot of the characters are seeing Guts as kind of not a liability, but more of just, we can't deal with him right now. He has to come to terms with what happened in his own way. Which is why I'm glad that we didn't have Roderick coming into the room, giving him some pep talk like, hey, I know shit's rough, but we need to keep going through it. Guts has gone through so much shit that he shouldn't have. At any point, if he wanted to just lay down and die, that would be completely understandable. But to have another character tell him to do that isn't him. He has to come to terms with why he has to struggle. He can't have someone else give him a reason. So I'm glad we didn't get that. And then for about half a page, we see Elfhelm is being torn apart. It is sinking into the ocean and is being ripped apart. And with that, we get Shirkei's monologue, or internal dialogue, I should say. Sooner or later, it all sinks deep down to be torn apart. Everything submerging to the dark, cold seafloor, including my voice. Guts. And while she's saying this, obviously we see Elfhelm getting ripped apart, but we see Serpico and Farnese healing people. We see Morta kind of giving commands out, and we see Isidro still in his feelings, which, again, he deserves to be. And then we see Shirkei just sitting alone as Roderick and his crew walk away. And then on the last page with Guts' group, we see Guts' prosthetic hand, Shirkei's face, and the seahorse. And it is such a well-composed page that I'm going to start using this a little bit more, because I'm not going to really show the entire chapter. But, like, just this is such a nice... I don't know how to say it. It's composed so well. Yeah, we're gonna go back to that. But we are not done with the chapter. No. We still have an entire Griffith section. So, we first see that the astral tree, I forget what it's called. I'm just gonna call it the astral tree. I could be right. But we see that somebody is calling to Sonia, and of course it's Mule. And Sonia is sitting or standing on one of the jut-outs of the wall around Falconia, one of the wings. And Mule is confused as to why she's there and is asking if she's stargazing. And we see, what's his name? He's my favorite one of Griffith's new apostles, too. Irvine. No. The bow guy. I'm just going to call him bow guy. I'm sure he'll come to me. We see him standing there, obviously almost bodyguarding Sonia. And Mule says, in reference to her going to the edge of the city to quote-unquote stargaze, you really didn't have to come all the way to the outskirts of the city for... And then he sees Locust and Grumbeld standing right behind him. And Locust even makes the point... Did I say Irvine? I didn't mean to. It was Irvine, duh. And Locust calls Sonia Shamaness. And she says he's back. And Mule cannot feel, like, astral shit. So he just kind of thinks that she's welcoming the morning sun. But as the sun creeps over the horizon, Zod bursts out of the tree with, obviously, Griffith and Casca. And we see Grunveld, Irvine, Mule, Locust, and Sonia just watching. And Zod goes to land as we get to see all these cuts of Sonia's getting blown by the wind of Zod landing, and Mule's obviously worried about her. But Zod lands, and the two look up to see Zod with Griffith and Casca. And then we have the worst fucking thing about this chapter. Not in like a actual bad way. Griffith's smug-ass face pisses me off. Like, he has no right to be this smug. But actually, I didn't want to get rid of that. An ongoing issue that I've had with the Studio Gaga chapters is Zod never quite looks right. He always looks kind of off. And in this, he looks almost too furry, I want to say. And of course, his horns are at the wrong angle. This one should be more outward like this. This one is cut off, but it would aim more like that. They're aimed too inward. But yeah. All in all, like I said at the start, I really liked this chapter. It is a good wrap-up of Elfhelm, because this is the final chapter of Elfhelm. It said it on the cover that this is the climax of Elfhelm. And this is the I'll just read what the cover page said verbatim, because I trust the translators more than I trust my own stupidity. But this is it. This is the end of at least Elfhelm, possibly Fantasia. And if this is how we are leaving our characters, I gotta say, even though, like, Griffith is debatably in a better spot than Guts, Griffith still's not in a very good spot. And this is the Elfhelm arc climax. But Griffith is still not in a very good position. He's showing up with Casca, a branded person, bringing her around all these apostles. What is his game? Obviously, it's probably to stifle Moonlight Boy wandering away and to kind of keep it in Falconia. But Sonya knows what the fuck is up. She's a psychic. She'll catch on to this. But she is number one Griffith Cockrider, maybe except Zod. So she won't give a shit. Zod knows what's happening, and he's just kind of there. He is Griffith's puppy. He is Griffith's ride back and forth, and he has to do exactly what Griffith says when he says it. But all the other apostles, and more so, all the residents of Falconia, what are they going to see? Because this is a woman that Griffith at one point knew, and at one point loved Griffith. The princess is going to recognize Casca, unless Griffith's going to keep Casca in, like, a dungeon? But that doesn't feel very, like, Berserk. I feel like Griffith would just kind of let her wander. Let her go around the city. Let her experience what Griffith has done for all these people. And almost expect her to turn around and be like, oh my god, Griffith is such a good person now. But Casca obviously knows what happened at the eclipse. So it's going to be interesting to see how Casca and Charlotte interact, how Casca and Sonya, how Casca and the rest of the apostles. But I don't think Griffith is especially in a good position here. I think he is doing this to mitigate the risk of Moonlight Boy. But it doesn't feel very well thought out. It almost feels, and this is on purpose, I'm sure. And this is not to be, like, rude to the character writing, but, like, it feels like he is not thinking anymore. He is just impulsively doing it. Which obviously is what got him in trouble in Golden Age. That's what got him in trouble to get tortured with Charlotte and all that. So him being impulsive has always been the root cause of a problem with his character. But he also has the tactician brain, where he can think 20 steps ahead of the enemy army and outsmart everybody, which is one of his best character traits. So it'll be really interesting to see how Griffith, I guess, for lack of a better term, plays this. He can obviously go with the very mitigated answer of, she's just a refugee that I saved, and kind of try to quell the public. But again, the apostles know what that brand is. Charlotte knows who Casca is. Sonya is a psychic. She'll know what's up. Griffith has put himself into a position where, unless he can use that silver tongue of his to incredible effect, I do not see this going amazingly for him. It will go good, because it's Griffith, and he knows how to phrase things, and he knows how to talk his way out of stuff. But this does not, to quote, what was it? Was it, Endgame? Infinity War? There's a quote I'm thinking of. 1 second. Oh, it's a Star Wars quote. This will not go the way you expect it to. It's Luke at the end of episode 8, right? Or not maybe the end, but yeah. Um so I think that quote is very evocative for this chapter. And what I'll do is I don't usually do this because it involves a lot more I don't usually do this because it involves a lot more of me messing with OBS, and that can easily crash it, and I don't really want that. But we have a lot of plot points that we have to deal with now. We have, how is Guts going to deal with what happened? Obviously, he cannot just not. Obviously, he can't just not deal with this. He has to do something. He has to find a new motivation, which his entire motivation for how long has been to save Casca, to get Casca back to how she was. And as we were told by Skull Knight, and the thing that was really hammered home when Casca came back was she might not have wanted to come back. She might have preferred being Elaine. But we have Guts's psyche. I don't know how to pronounce or how to spell that. Griffith's fallout. The Black Swordsman Party's reaction to Casca. And what the fuck happened to Skull Knight? I'll size this down and I'll change the color a bit just so we can all be on the same page with what this says. I mean, I did just read it, but point being, let's go with like a blue. That's probably the best we're gonna get. So Guts' psyche. Obviously, we have to have what's going to happen with that. Obviously, he's going to start reeling with what happened, but we need to know. Because, again, his motivation is obviously going to be to save Casca. But with the Dragon Slayer not being reliable, that brings into the question, will he be able to save Casca? Which comes back to the last point. Griffith's fallout is what I've already talked about. What the fuck is going to happen with Falconia and Casca? The Black Swordsman Party's reaction to losing Casca. We kind of got that, but we did not delve into how everyone felt, which I think we need to know. Obviously, everyone felt that loss. It's not like you can just lose a member of your party, the member that you were going on this quest to save, and just not react. Everyone's going to have a reaction, and it's going to be interesting. But what the fuck happened to Skull Knight is the one I really want to talk about. So I'm actually just going to, like, straight up get rid of all of it, if it would let me. Berserk text, please. Properties. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all the other points because this is the only one that I'm really that I actually have a good idea of. Not a good idea, I should say. But I have a nice guess or a nice theory. I cannot select a good color for this. Holy shit. I'll go with like orange. Okay, we're just going to go with can I go with white and it look fine? Okay. No, I cannot. So we're going to shrink that down and find somewhere that we can read it at. If I go with black here, we should be able to read it. There we go. What the fuck happened to Skull Knight? I have a theory. We do not know what happened to him after Elfhelm collapsed. We can make the guess that he disappeared with the rest of the magical beings. But using the same logic as Puck and Ivara, he's been there before the collapse. He's been here before the astral merging. In fact, he's the reason the realms even merged in the first place. So it wouldn't really make sense for him to disappear like that. I think Skull Knight is somewhere safe, hopefully, and that what he is going to do from here on out, at least my guess, is that he is going to enchant the Dragon Slayer. That's probably a little bit better. Whatever. We're just going to stop touching it there. I think he's going to enchant the Dragon Slayer in a actual way. Like, maybe not him directly, or he's going to give, Guts what he needs to enchant it. But the Dragon Slayer is going to become actually cursed. So we have the guess, and we have the theory of, due to how many astral beings Guts has killed with this thing, it has the ability to hurt them. Like we saw with Slan back in Hawk the Millennium Empire. Or was that Fantasia? Back with Slan in the Qliphoth, he was able to hurt her. But that was a physical body of her, and not, like, her physical body. It was a physical body. With Griffith, though, 1, he is on another level from the other ones. He has more powers. 2, this is his body. Like, this is his actual body. So it would make sense that no mortal strike is going to be able to do anything against it. But I think the Dragon Slayer is going to be legitimately cursed, and it will be able to hurt Griffith. Like, it will actually be able to cut him, which would be really nice to see. Because, God, if there's one thing that I want to see in this series, it is Griffith, like, just sliced to bits. Losing limbs, which I'm sure he can grow back. But it'd be nice for a final fight if we take everything that Guts has had to do in the story and use it, but not in a direct way. So him using the cannon, him using the Dragon Slayer, him using his knives. I want that to somehow come back to Griffith. It could even be a way, spoilers for God of War Ragnarok. I know, random ass spoiler. It could be a way similar to the fight against Heimdall in that game, where once you land one good strike on him, you don't have to land any other impressive strikes. It's just a straight up fight from there on. So occasionally Guts might have to hit him with the Dragon Slayer, like knock him back to reality. But from that point, he can use the cannon, he can use the knives, he can use everything else in his arsenal. But that's not a satisfying ending. Obviously, it'd be so satisfying for Guts just to slice Griffith to ribbons. But that's not character growth. At Conviction, Guts had to make a choice. Does he save Casca, or does he keep going on his vengeful path of killing Griffith? And he chose Casca. And ever since he chose Casca, Griffith has kept coming back in his life in a way that he himself doesn't expect, but he has chosen the Casca route every single time. But I feel like eventually, at the point that Skull Knight said, we cannot do both. You cannot be a savior and a monster. We have to combine those. We have to be the savior while also being the monster. We have to save Casca while killing Griffith. It would be a nice way to combine his motivations and let us, the audience, feel the satisfaction of killing Griffith while also saving Casca. And it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities. Like I said, the Dragon Slayer still has yet to be actually cursed by some magic. So that'll be interesting. But I've been ranting for like 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure the chapter review ended like in 10 minutes. Or the breakdown. I like the chapter. Obviously, I'm going to have some art complaints. Characters look off, but whatever. That's going to be a consistent thing, I think. I'm going to stop complaining about the art looking bad. And I think I'm going to start, whenever the art looks really good, that's when I'm going to start talking about it. Like the page I'm using for the eye catch. This page looks so good. Every part of it is so good. Like, we have Rape Horse, we have the trolls, we have the alligators, we have the Daka, we have Rosina Pier, we have the bug, we have the, I think that's the ghost tree. That page was really well drawn. And it's not just a one-page thing. It's a consistent, a lot of these pages look good. but that's just the one I wanted to talk about. So yeah, that's been it for this Berserk review. I hope anyone who's watching this enjoyed it. I'm actually gonna, after this, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but I'm gonna do the One Piece and Chainsaw videos. I'm not doing This Week in Shonen. I need to kind of get that streamlined down. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this Berserk review. Good chapter. I think next chapter we're gonna see a lot. I think I said this at the end of last chapter. We're gonna see a lot of stuff fall into place, and it's gonna have some actual ramifications. Because obviously, at the end of last chapter, Guts' mental state was not the best. And this chapter is kind of what I expected out of that. But this chapter, we have Griffith that we have to deal with next chapter. I would not be completely opposed to just a Griffith chapter next chapter, as long as it is not a consistent thing. We do not have 3 Griffith chapters straight. I think this kind of thing of bouncing from one point of view to another, it works, but it is not what I expect out of Berserk. With Berserk, I have always been of the mind what Miura did with putting so many Griffith chapters together and putting so many Guts chapters together. It gives you that immersion, for lack of a better term. This bouncing from one to another, it feels too much like One Piece and Chainsaw. I don't like this almost disjointed is the word I was looking for. This disjointed way of storytelling just isn't working for me. Which, I mean, it's whatever. It's not like a big thing. But if this is going to be a consistent thing, I feel like it has to be for a little bit more than just a few pages at the end of a chapter. We have to basically split the chapter 50-50, in my opinion. But yeah, that's been it for this chapter review. I hope you had a great time watching it. I hope you agree with some of the points that I made. If not, feel free to let me know down in the comment section. And while you're there, let's hit the like button. Yeah? And if you're new here and you just kind of wanted to pause this video, hit subscribe. It really helps me know that people are into this stuff. And it lets you know that I'm making content. These things come out every time a chapter drops. I always put Berserk on the priority when it comes out because I like Berserk. What can I say? But yeah, I do Chainsaw and One Piece reviews. I'm going to start getting back into gaming. After I do these chapter reviews, I think I'm going to stream something. I don't know what. But yeah, until next time, stay safe, have fun, read more manga, and keep on struggling. Okay, guys. Bye.